welcome back to Keep Moving with the Senior Center. I'm Amy Beck, the Director of Senior Services here in Hopkinton, and with me I have Jessica McNult, who's the Assistant Director. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning, Amy. How are you today?
I'm just fine, thanks. I know that a lot of our listeners get the newsletter, so some of the information that we share with you is already in there, but I did want you to know that as of this filming in early January, we are open. We're open Monday through Friday, and that means Monday to Thursday, we're open 8:30 to 4, and Fridays we're open 8:30 to 2. And if you have any questions or if you want to join any of our activities that are in the newsletter, and Jessica, you can show one later because I forgot to have one with me right now. Feel free to give us a call at 508-497-9730. And the people answering the phone are happy to point you in the right direction, whether it is to outreach so that they can give you some help, or if you want to sign up for a program or lunch. I will say that as of this taping, masks are once again required in the building. We're doing everything that we can to make sure we all stay safe and stay open. So if you forget your mask, we will have some that we could give to you. But as always, try to come prepared. We want to have you here. And the only caveat to that is if you have cold symptoms of any kind, please stay home. If you're concerned, get tested, but definitely stay home. Don't be coming into the center. If you even have what you think is just a simple cold, we're asking you to stay home. So anything special coming up, Jessica, in programs in the next couple weeks or in the next month?
We have got a lot coming up. And I will say, I've got my newsletter right here.
More prepared as always.
Make sure that you give it a read. It is also available online at hopkinsonseniorcenter.com. New this month, it is also available online. If you go to the town website, you can also access some of the information from the newsletter, some of the highlights in a document that can be translated into other languages. So if you're more comfortable reading something in a different language, or if you have a family member that you want to share that information with, that is available. Again, that is on the town website under the Senior Center department page. But with that, we have got tons of programs coming up, some virtual so that you can stay home and stay safe, some in person so that you can come in and see your friends. But I can talk about that at the end. I don't want to steal all of our time. So I'll just give that teaser that stay tuned to find out about the programs.
Right. And just so you know, the translated version of the newsletter is an abbreviated version. If you want to look at the English version, it's definitely online if you have not already received it. So with us today, we're really fortunate to have Aaron Beinecke. He is with the Housing Authority here in Hopkinton, and he's going to be able to answer some questions about what's involved in getting into housing here in Hopkinton, what's the process, and many other things, I'm sure. But good morning, Aaron. Welcome to Keep Moving.
Oh, thank you very much, Jessica, Amy. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate being
And
here.
one thing that I always ask our guests and Jessica at the beginning is, what do you look forward to in the coming year? Is there anything special that you're looking forward to besides going mask-free and running around like we used to?
Getting back to normal would be high on that list. But other than that, just times with friends, family. We also, have a million things to do at the Housing Authority. But, just living a good life and being healthy, happy, and connected with the community.
Yeah, that sounds about what I think Jessica and I would say pretty much the same thing, unless Jessica has something else to add.
No, I'm excited about this new year and the things we're gonna get to experience and see, and I'm hopeful that it's gonna be a great year. So,
well, and I think the big thing is keep moving. That's what we keep saying. Keep moving, and so that's I think however we can do that. And that's where the masks come in right now. But anyway, Erin, thank you again for coming. You're relatively new to Hopkinton, but I know you're not new to the Housing Authority. So could you give us,
Yeah,
maybe tell people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I got a master's in public administration way back at Suffolk, and that is right next door to the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is a state agency that oversees public housing in Massachusetts. And I was fortunate to get a job there. And I worked both on the capital construction side and on the operating side, which, being an executive director at housing authorities, you have to know some of both. And I've worked at several other housing authorities. I came to Hopkinton in August of 2021. I'm also currently the executive director for the North Reading Housing Authority, and I split my time between the two.
Great. So can you give me, I know that Jessica's familiar with housing way more than I am, but I am just curious if you could give us a quick overview of the Hopkinton Housing Authority. What are we talking about? Apartments? What is involved?
Yeah, so we have housing for elderly, younger disabled, and low-income families here. The vast majority of the housing stock here is for the elderly and younger disabled. Hopkinton Housing Authority has a total of 110 units. 92 of them are single occupancy units or a couple, just a one bedroom for the elderly and younger disabled. And then the remaining of that 110 is our family units made up of 2 and 3 bedroom apartments.
And so what else? So, any other amenities? I know that I'm pretty sure you have a laundry room and a common area and everything like that, right?
Yeah, we have a real nice community building here that's right in the middle of Davis Road, which is kind of surrounds our developments here. The community building has the Housing Authority offices. It does have laundry facilities that tenants can use, and as well as a kitchen if sometimes people use it for a birthday party or something like that. Not right now, but in general. And also there's like a lounge area where people can get together and watch TV and so forth.
Great.
Mhm.
And then I know this is a question everyone, this is always an issue wherever you go, but is there parking?
Yeah, there's actually, before my time here, in the previous administration at Hopkinton Housing Authority, a large paving project was completed, and that added a lot of parking here. So parking, we're really in pretty good shape. We do have people put stickers on their car and register, but there are not assigned spots here. In addition to that, there's also ample visitor parking on one end of the development as well.
Great.
Mhm.
So, I know you mentioned a little bit as to who's eligible, but if you were a senior looking, or I guess someone with a disability who were looking, what are the requirements, or what are they asked on their application?
Well, there's a few things, and it depends on what program you're applying to. All of them do have an income limit, which depends on how many people are in your household. And those are published on the state website, mass.gov, or you can, of course, call the office or come down here and we'll answer those questions for you. For elderly, you have to be at least 58 to apply, and you have to be at least 60 to enter into the housing. And again, it sort of depends on your household structure. So a one bedroom, you could have a single person or a couple, but that would be it. If you are a family, again, you would have to be below the income limit and then have an appropriate size unit, depending on the makeup of your family, 2 or 3 bedrooms for that. Other questions people besides the people tend to ask, besides income limit and such, assets is another thing. Assets are figured into the rent calculation, but it's 1% of whatever your assets are spread across your rental months. So income is more of an issue than the assets. And excuse me, it should be noted there's no limit on assets where there is a limit on income.
And so if someone wants to apply, I mean, so you say you can apply at 58 for 60.
Yep.
Is it a 2-year process or?
It is frequently longer than 2 years. There are very long wait lists. And it also depends on where you apply and what other people are doing, who else applied. There's many factors. But typically, yeah, it's going to be, it's not like private market where you apply to rent a unit and then the next month you move in. It's not at all like that. You definitely have to plan ahead.
And so I know that our outreach staff here can help people fill out the application to get in, but can they work with your office or are they kind of on their own?
Yes. So this is one of the new things. There was the centralized waiting list that had come out since the Deval-Patrick administration. And the system is called CHAMP, CHAMP. And this is a way to, over the internet, apply to any housing authorities you would like. You could apply to just one, or you can apply to all of them, or whatever you choose. And to your question too about assistance with filling it out, we do offer that assistance here. It's best to make an appointment and you can come and do it. We also have paper applications available outside the office in the community building that are available at any time. So you can apply directly over the internet using CHAMP, or you can fill out a paper application and then we'll put it in for you. So either way is fine.
And like I mentioned, if you really need some other assistance, you can also come to our outreach department here at the senior center and they will help you as well. So you've got a lot of ways to try to fill out the application that can.
And one of the things that comes up with the application process, it's not just filling out the form, although initially you can get onto a waiting list that way. In order to be housed, you do need to bring a lot of documentation about your income, your assets. If, for example, you are claiming disability status, something to go along with that. There's a number of things that we ask for along with your application.
And if I could,
Sure.
because I come from a housing background, for everyone who's watching today or thinking about applying for housing, January is a great month to talk about housing, because this is the month that you're getting all of that documentation from Social Security, from your pensions, from your retirement. You're getting all of that in the mail because it's a new year. And so instead of throwing it away, if you're thinking about housing or you're on the waiting list, now is a great time to start a file so that when your name comes up, you'll still have to get updated information, but at least now you have updated phone numbers or addresses, contact information for all of your accounts. So January is a great time to be talking about this, just because you're getting that influx of stuff in your mail right now. So if somebody applies for housing in Hopkinton, is there a priority if they live in town? Do they wait just like everybody else? What does that system look like?
Well, there is what's called local preference. And how much that's weighted, I'm not really sure. It's part of the CHAMP algorithm. Before CHAMP, it was a little more clear cut because it wasn't an algorithm in a computer. But that still is a factor, local preference. I will say it is not a strong factor. It is not as strong as it, anecdotally, it seems not as strong as it used to be. However, there are also many other factors for priority, and this is listed in the DHCD or state regulations. And it depends on what your situation is going in to housing, and it's ranked 1 through 7, depending on your situation. And upon entrance into housing, you would have to provide some documentation of you being in that situation. For example, priority one would be somebody who was displaced because of a natural disaster. And then you would have to have some documentation as to what happened that put you in that situation. So.
So with regard to living in town, because I know we hear it here when someone comes in and they say they want to apply, but they're not ready yet because they haven't sold their house. Right. And they want to wait till they sell their house to get housing. Do you recommend that they apply before they put that house on the market?
Yeah, I would, considering the length of time that sometimes comes up on a wait list, I would. However, when that house sells, you want to update your application because that, particularly, one of the priority categories is priority 4, which would be homelessness. Obviously, you could not claim homelessness if you own a home. So, there are factors there. But overall, like the sooner you can get your application in, the better. If you think you may need it 3-4 years down the road, go ahead and apply. Yeah.
Great. And so does that priority follow someone? If they lived in Hopkinton and they apply and then they move to Upton, do they still get to claim that local preference, or do they lose that when they move out of the town?
The local preference would be in the new town, so that changes. However, you can either live or work, because some of the people who apply are still working. And if you working in a town does give you local preference as well. So it does follow you in a way, but it's if you live in Hopkinton, you get the local preference for Hopkinton, nowhere else. But if you move somewhere else, you get the preference there.
Okay, so then it's a good idea when someone is applying, they've applied, it's a good idea for them to update that paperwork. When they move, when their contact information changes. Is that something that there's an annual update requirement, or do they can they call a number? Can they go online? How do they go about updating?
So when your application is up on Champ in the system, you will have a username and password where you can go in and change your information, upload documents, do anything that's needed to do. But I will reiterate, Jessica, what you just said about updating your contact information. This is something that comes up where we have a unit available to somebody who's been on the wait list, and then we go to contact them to offer them the unit, and we can't find them. And that happens, and then we just got to go to the next person. So do make sure that you're up to date with all your contact information on Champ.
Great. I think we touched on this, but some programs like health insurance or nutrition assistance, fuel assistance, programs like that, they have a cap on resources. Is there a cap on what someone can have as far as assets? I know there are income limits where they have to be under that dollar amount. Can they only have, $3,000 in the bank or $300 in the bank?
Right. Yeah, the limit is on income. Assets do not, and they are charged at 1% of the value of that asset. So, if you have a home that's $100,000, you'll pay $1,000 spread out over your rent in your rent calculation for that year. So that's how it works. Yeah.
So kind of transitioning a little bit, once somebody gets the phone call from you, sometimes I know it's hard to judge when an apartment will become available. But what does that process look like? Is there a security deposit required up front? Is that something they should start planning for now?
No, so how it works is, we do what we call pulling a list on Champ. We have a unit that's available. It's a elderly unit, and I tell Champ I need elderly applicants for this unit, and it spits out a list for me of people who were on a wait list already. There is no security deposit. You just pay your first month's and you're ready to go. Generally, the first call is we ask if the person is still interested in the unit. If they are, then they come and look at it. And if they are still interested in it after looking at it, we start doing some paperwork. The next thing would we do a criminal background check or a query. And then we also check wages that match up to whatever you submitted as your income. We use a system from the state called Wage Match that does that for us. So, and then from there, usually at this time, we're still in the process of turning the unit over from the last person who lived there. You know, we paint them, put new floors, whatever it needs. And as soon as it's ready, we schedule a time for the person to move in and sign a lease and get their keys and all that stuff.
Great. And now what's included in that rent? Is it just rent, or there, you know, heat, hot water, trash,
Yeah.
kind of what are the things that are included in that rent?
It's pretty all inclusive. If for the elderly and disabled units, all the utilities are included, and your rent is 30% of whatever your income is. We talked a little bit about income and all that, but as it relates to rent at the elderly developments, it's 30% of whatever your income is. And that covers heat, hot water, and electricity, anything you would need. Trash, we do have dumpsters here that are picked up, and there's, I believe there's 4 around, yeah, I think there's 4 around our development in strategic locations, so it's not too far from anywhere. And not beyond that, that's about it. I mean, we do, you know, maintenance. If you have any problems with your unit, you can call the office. Maintenance employee will come and take care of it. Yeah, that's pretty much what we offer. And of course, we talked before about the community building, and the amenities there are open to anybody who's a tenant. I should say it's a little bit different if you're a family tenant. Family tenants, they do pay their own utilities, and therefore the calculation for their rent is 27% of their income. A little bit lower because we know they're going to be paying the utilities. Yeah.
And so one thing I know comes up a lot, especially with seniors who maybe don't have family as close or live alone. Are they allowed to have a pet? Are there limits? Are they allowed a cat, a dog,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, they are allowed 1 pet. We ask for information about emergency contact, about their vet, the animal shots, and licensing. And then there's a $160 pet deposit that is kept in our account here and returned upon move out if there's no, you know, issues with damage and such. There is, and that's really for a pet. There's also emotional support animals, which have a similar process. And there is also service animals, which has a similar process, but you know, all of those are permissible. But I should say it's you know, 1 animal per household. And the only exception might be service animals or emotional support. Say there's several people in the house that need services like that. We'll take a look at that, and probably that's okay.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. I think you've given us a pretty good overview of housing.
No, thank you.
Yeah, Erin, thank you very much. I want to say that, or remind everyone that if they have questions, how do they contact Housing in Hopkinton?
Well, there's a couple ways. Our phone number is 508-435-6022. And our office hours here are Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you can just walk up to the counter here. through the website, you could email a question if you want. Probably front office is best, office@hopkintonha.com.
So definitely stop by, give a call if you have any questions. Remember that you can also come to the senior center and we can help you navigate some of the process. Housing definitely has it down to a science as far as how they go through their end. So if you even have questions, but the big thing is if you're thinking about housing in the next couple of years, definitely put your application in now. Don't wait until the day you need it. And then because it's not that easy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. And I will say we get lots of positive feedback about the senior center as we have many tenants who utilize your services there.
Great. Well, thanks. I'm glad to hear that. And we look forward to partnering with you guys to see what we can do as we go forward.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much, Erin.
All right.
So we're winding down, but again, as a reminder, anything quick, Jessica, you wanted to tell people other than check out your newsletter?
I was gonna say, it looks like we're running low on time, so I won't go through all of the programs. I will just recommend that you come in and get one, or you check it out online. We've got some art programs coming, some cultural programs coming, some health and wellness programs coming. So we've got a huge variety of stuff coming to you in 2022. And so we would love to have you come in and check it out.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. So get that newsletter either in your mailbox or online. Come in if you have any questions. Again, the number at the senior center is 508-497-9730. Give us a call. We're happy to help in any way we can. And as always, the big message that we say is stay safe. So that right now, that means continuing to wear your mask out in public. Most of all the town buildings in Hopkinton are requiring it. And as you know, you're going to see a lot more stores asking you to wear masks as you're out and about. But again, stay safe, stay warm. It's that time of year. We want to stay warm and also keep moving. So come down to the senior center, check out the activities we have between lunch and exercise. I think we've got you and arts and activities. We've got you covered in so many ways. So everyone take care. We'll see you soon.